As most of you hopefully know, the bill, as David said, we were working on the bill for about 4 years in total, partly under the previous government, and then the new Labour government came in and decided to keep the majority of the previous bill, but with a few changes. That finally received royal assent on the 19th of June. The high-level aims of the Act are really, we want to stimulate economic growth, we want to improve government services, and in doing both of those things, we hope that there will be some genuine improvements for people in their daily lives. We also, when we designed the Act, we were very mindful of maintaining high standards of data protection, and when the Labour government came in, they made it clear that a top priority was ensuring that we renew the EU's adequacy decision of the UK. And we've been in constant touch with the EU Commission, and we'll continue to support the EU. The EU, as they renew the adequacy decision, they've set a deadline of the 27th of December for that. So touching on how the Act will help to drive economic growth, as I said, there are quite a few interesting provisions in the Act outside of data protection, but which might be of interest to some of you. I'm not going to dwell on any of these for too long, because it's not mine or Elizabeth's area of expertise. But the Act as a whole drew in measures from across Whitehall. So there was measures from the Department of Business and Trade, measures from DSIT, of course, Department of Health, Cabinet Office. So quite a sort of cross-government initiative. On economic growth, measures on smart data in particular, digital verification services, and the National Underground Asset Register are all central to the government's sort of aims at driving economic growth. But of course, simplification of aspects of the data protection framework could help to contribute to the net economic benefits as well. Many people are already using smart data schemes like open banking, and so there are provisions in the Act which will allow our colleagues in the Department of Business to roll out similar schemes to other parts of the economy. So you could see a role for smart data schemes, for example, in the energy market, for example. On digital verification services, this should help people prove things about themselves using electronic IDs instead of the traditional paper documents. And this could save both people and organisations a lot of time going forward. The Act doesn't make any digital identity mandatory, but what it does is it creates a legislative system of oversight and governance for digital verification services, so that people can trust what a good digital ID looks like. On the National Underground Asset Register, I knew nothing about this before passage of the bill. It's not a personal data issue. It's something that was completely sort of new to me. But actually, it's probably one of the things that is really important in the Act. For example, it would basically be an electronic map of underground pipes and cables. And what it should do is like stop construction workers inadvertently digging into a water pipe and causing a road to flood, causing traffic mayhem. And I think we've all been there and having to do major sort of detours and things. And if this can help that sort of thing, it will really have a huge economic benefit. So that gives you a flavour of some of the economic growth measures in the Act. I'm not going to go through them in any more detail than that, but if you did have any questions about any of that stuff, we're more than happy to put you in touch with colleagues across Whitehall who have been leading on those provisions. I did want to touch on some of the provisions that will drive or modernise digital government. Again, there are quite a few important measures in the Act which will help to achieve this. I've picked out some of the main ones on this slide. But there are provisions in the Act which will allow the Secretary of State for Health to set common IT standards across NHS bodies. I mean, you can probably all think of times, I certainly can think of a few times, where I've been frustrated that one hospital doesn't seem to have the records that another hospital holds on me. Same with the GP. But what these measures will allow is the Secretary of State for Health to set interoperability standards so that if you want another hospital to be able to access your records, they should be able to do that. Another part of, I don't think I even mentioned the Home Office in my introductory remarks, but they have measures in the bill. The General Registrar Office and the Electronic Register of Births and Deaths is another major way that we think we can modernise government services. So, for example, in the future, you'll be able to register a birth or death electronically. Local registry offices can be quite busy places, and particularly like when you're registering a death at a difficult moment in your life, having an option to do it digitally instead could speed up the whole system. We're also, other parts of government, the Department of Business, are looking at the way that they can support small businesses, so joining up government services through the Digital Economy Act. There are already provisions in the Digital Economy Act that allow data sharing to support vulnerable households, but the team that are leading on those measures are extending those provisions so that data can be shared to support business undertakings as well. And they hope that that will be really helpful for small businesses in particular, if there's a sort of more joined up government services.